Hello, everyone. Thank you for showing up. It is my great delight to meet with you each week like this. One of the things I am most often asked about in my workshops and coaching sessions is how do I communicate with somebody who doesn't want to communicate with me, or someone I love, some family member has passed on, and I felt like our communication was incomplete. What do I do now? And the answer is the same, and it's actually simple, and it actually works. What we need to do is to recognize that real communication happens at the level of spirit, at the level of soul. So words that are spoken between people, ideas that transpire between people intellectually are one level, and it's actually a relatively shallow level of communication. Real communication happens in spirit. So relationships are less about what's happening on the surface and more about what's happening in the heart. And very often the life that we're living in spirit or in the soul is different than the one that happens on the surface. I'll give you a few personal examples. I had a friend many, many years ago who became upset with me, and he didn't want to talk to me anymore, and we actually haven't spoken for many years. But even after we stopped speaking, I kept having dreams about him. And they were wonderful dreams. They were always happy dreams. We were talking and hugging and just being as close as we ever were. In fact, even closer than we were in physical form. And that told me that even though we weren't connected on the physical plane, we were connected on the spiritual plane, and our spiritual relationship was fully intact. Now, it's the same for someone who passes over to the other side. They don't have a physical body anymore. They don't have a physical personality like they did. But they're still very much alive. And it's quite possible to continue your communication with them on a soul level. When my father passed away, I was young, I was 18, and I was not mature, and there were lots of things I wish I had said and done with and for my father that I hadn't by the time he had passed. But after he passed, we continued our communication, and I remember one night in this dream I saw my dad at a party, and in life he was not a very fashionable dresser. But in this party, he was wearing a sharkskin suit. He was real slim, looked really cool. And I said, "How you doing, Dad?" He said, I'm doing great. How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." And that was our interaction. It felt so fulfilling to me to know that our relationship was continuing in spirit, and it was a good one. That the things that we did not say in life, we were saying in spirit after he had passed. And I actually had a very dramatic demonstration of the same principle. Many years ago, I lived in a house with 4 other guys out in the woods. It was a country area. And we had a neighbor who didn't like us, and we weren't getting along. And we were not a great match for the neighborhood, put it that way. And then one night I went to a lecture by a chiropractor who talked about the importance of attitude and positive thinking and loving as an adjunct to holistic health. And he did an exercise. He said, well, okay, close your eyes and think of somebody you're not getting along with. And immediately to my mind came this Mrs. Ryan. And at first I kind of contracted, but then I thought, well, I'll do the exercise. And the teacher said, now, take a few moments and breathe and see if you can find something you like about that person. See if you can make a heart connection and just be positive about them just for a moment. And I was able to do it. I saw Mrs. Ryan. I thought, well, she's not such a bad person, and I don't blame her. We were kind of oddballs in the neighborhood. And just for a minute or two, something softened inside me. And I felt like she was okay. We had a good relationship. Well, the next morning I was in my garden and Mrs. Ryan comes to the fence. I thought, oh no, what's she going to complain about now? And she said, well, I haven't been the best neighbor and I like to get along with you guys. So can we just start over? Let's help each other. And I almost fell over because that was so out of character for her and for our relationship. And the only thing that really changed was I connected with her for just a couple minutes in spirit. I changed my mind about her. And her showing up, I interpreted as a manifestation that my change of mind somehow found her. It's a demonstration that energies and communications that take place on the level of soul reach the intended recipient. I don't think she sat there and thought, well, Alan's thinking of me now, I'm going to be nice to him. That didn't happen at a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, she received my positive, loving energy, and something in her wanted the same thing. And so she followed up, and we had a nice relationship from that point on. I think that was a wonderful scientific experiment and demonstration, because the only variable that changed in our relationship was one night I held her in positive regard for not even a minute or two, just a very short time. But it worked. And if you watch my coaching room on Thursdays, or you come to any of my lectures or read my books, you know that I often prescribe to clients or seminar participants to do this with people that you'd like to have a mending of your souls with. And so very often a parent will say, my daughter won't talk to me, or I'm estranged from my ex-husband or wife, my parents excommunicated me. I say, well, here's what you do. Just every morning, sit for 5 minutes and just call that person to you in spirit. You can do this. It's not magical. It's just a focused mind. You see their face and you think of their name and you tune into their vibration. Even if you don't like them on a personality level, this exercise is not a personality exercise. It's a soul exercise. And then you talk to them. But you don't talk from personality to personality, and you don't get into your emotional issues. You talk from soul to soul. And you say their name. You say, I'm sorry we haven't been getting along, but I really want to get along with you. I appreciate all that you've been in my life. Thank you for, and you make a list of the things you appreciate about them. And you say, I know that on some level we're connecting, and I want to come to peace with you. In fact, in this moment, I choose to have a peaceful, loving, harmonious relationship with you. Do something in your own words for 5 minutes. And if you can get to that place where you feel like you're really connected with their spirit, you've done it. Even if it takes you 1 minute or 10 minutes, that moment of knowing, okay, we've joined like Velcro, we've interlocked our energies. That's it. That's the purpose of the exercise, for you to get to the place where you know you're connected. Now, we're all of one mind. This is the way it works. You know, any great spiritual teacher has said that there's one mind. And what you think and how you feel about somebody actually reaches them in spirit, in the mental world. There's a wonderful book by Dr. Larry Dossey, Dossey. It's called One Mind, I believe is the title. He cites many experiments. He's a doctor, medical doctor, and he cites many experiments where it's demonstrated that my thoughts affect you and your thoughts affect me. And the thoughts that we think in relationship to each other affect each other. And this is such a wonderful level to work at, because the personality level is fraught with landmines. You understand? that we have our upsets and our judgments and our history, and it's just like, it's kind of mucky to try to get clear communication in a relationship that's had lots of upset. And so it takes a lot of work to bring that level around. But the amount of work it takes on the inner level is much less, much easier, because you don't have to work your way through all that muck. You're going from heart to heart, soul to soul. And so, what if we reframed all of our relationships to consider that we have soul relationships? Now, if you've heard me talk about soul contracts, a lot of this is in my book, Soul and Destiny. It's out on Amazon now, print and ebook. You can get that if you'd like to go deep in this subject matter. But we have soul contracts with people, which means that on a soul level, we have agreed to connect with them so we can help them further their spiritual growth, and they can help us further ours. So you may have an acrimonious relationship with somebody due to a soul contract you set up with them, but that's just a surface level of appearances. On the soul level, you have a very powerful, mutually supportive agreement to help each other. In fact, the more you challenge each other, the more the potential for help. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. And I often quote that wonderful line from A Course in Miracles. The holiest spot on earth is where an ancient hatred has become a present love. Which means that if you've always been loving somebody, that's just fine, that's wonderful, keep doing it. But if you haven't gotten along with someone, and you can shift that energy and find a connection, a mutual support, an appreciation, a respect, an honoring, an acceptance, the spiritual benefits of that transformation far surpass something that was easier. I often go to Japan, and I've been to Hiroshima a number of times, where the first atomic bomb was dropped in World War II. And there's a beautiful peace park. It's like a memorial that's dedicated to peace. It's very nicely landscaped. It's lavish. It runs for a while. It's very lovely. And there's an altar there with an eternal flame. And many, many, many people come from around the world to pray there for peace, because it was such a horrendous act that nobody ever wants to see anything like that happen again. And so one day I just sat and watched these lovely people of all nationalities and races and cultures come and pray for peace at the Hiroshima Peace Park altar. And it was so uplifting. And I discussed it with a Japanese friend of mine who's a spiritual teacher, and she said, you know, when there's been something very dark, it stimulates a desire and an intention for the light. And there have been many, many world peace and world healing conferences conducted at Hiroshima precisely because it was such a dark place in the history of the planet. So that darkness let forth an energy that's calling for transformation and healing. So in that sense, Hiroshima has become one of the world's greatest focalized peace sites on the planet, because so many people want peace as a result of what happened there. So it's the same thing on a level of soul. If you haven't gotten along with somebody, even if it's a long, horrendous relationship, even if they've dropped bombs on you, so to speak, or vice versa, the potential for healing in a relationship like that is so much more powerful than a gentler, lighter connection. And that healing has to run deep. It can't be just a verbal offering. You have to drop into soul. And if you can get to, if a relationship has been troubling you, whether it's a recent one or a long time one, And you can sit with yourself and say, okay, Great Spirit, God, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Allah, whoever you like. This relationship, as it is not the destiny I would choose. That it doesn't feel so bad to me to be at odds with this person. And sometimes it's somebody you were married to or a family member that you loved for many years. But something happened and you're at odds now. And you say from your heart, Great Spirit, I do not wish for this to continue. I don't care who's right. I relinquish my investment in being right. I don't have to be right anymore. I really want to connect. So it is now my intention to open up to healing and loving with this person. You might want to do it right now. Shall we try it for a moment? If you're willing to do this, just close your eyes and think of someone you haven't been getting along with, someone you're upset with in any way. Maybe it's uncomfortable. Please don't turn off the video at this point. This is what all this has been leading to. This is your moment of opportunity. And call them to you in spirit. See their face. See their name. And you probably feel a little upset because something is off with them. I understand that. But let's keep going. And now, in your own words, in your own mind, speak to their soul. Not their mind, not their emotions, not their personality, not their history, not your judgments about them, but their soul. And you say their name. I really want to connect with you. I do not wish for us to go on with upset any longer. I love you. There's a place inside me that truly loves you. And there's a place inside you that truly loves me. I know stuff has gone on in the world, but we're working at the soul level now. And so I now invite you, use your own words, I'm just offering. I now invite you to come into a place of healing with me. I want to feel good with you, and I want you to feel good about me. I want to restore our relationship to what it was or what it could be. I extend my hand to you, and I humbly request that we heal together. I want to move on with our relationship, and I want to move on with our lives. And drop into the place that really desires healing with this person. And let that be your reality. Let that be your truth. And when you touch that sweet spot of, okay, this is what I really want, you're done. The exercise is complete. Release the exercise. And come back to the present moment. Now, if you really did that, something has to shift inside you. And I wouldn't be surprised if something literally shifted in the manifestation of the relationship. But even if it doesn't, that's okay. You've done your inner homework.